Last night, the hit show The Pitt had its season 2 finale, and the MAGA bots got activated because the main plot centered around a MAHA mom who demanded she had something called a wild birth, a trend in the crunchy and conservative MAHA movement. And calling out this dangerous trend was apparently an egregious offense to these MAGA worms who want to crawl inside your brain and steer you towards some raw milk like the tragedy that is RFK Jr. Be sure you're subscribed to Really American, and let's jump right into it. Folks, this season finale was so good that Trump is likely drafting a Truth Social meltdown as we speak. There are going to be some spoilers here, so if you're planning on watching it, you may want to skip the recap part of this. But the main plot involves a young mother who sounds suspiciously like MAHA. Judith had seen 0 medical professionals about her pregnancy. At 36 weeks pregnant, this is far from the norm. Judith explains that she's having a wild pregnancy and wants a free birth. I have to admit I was unaware of these terms, and the online influencers who promote dangerous methods like them on podcasts and YouTube. At first, I thought she meant having a home birth. Nope. It means no doctors, hospitals, medicine, or midwives. She doesn't even have a birth doula. When Judith notes that women have been having children on their own for thousands of years without modern medicine, Abbott counters that the infant mortality rate was 30% for most of that time frame. It might sound condescending, but given the events that follow, it is worth spelling out. Plus, in addition to that, they didn't spend those thousands of years not using midwives or native medicine. As you can imagine, this whole philosophy did not go well for Judith, and something did inevitably go wrong.
Oh, she's seizing.
Okay, showtime. We need to get this baby out right now.
But luckily for Judith, the fake character, the doctors were able to save the day, bring her back from the brink of death, and save the baby in the process, no doubt against the wishes of the MAHA movement. Here's a quote from the episode. "That woman today, her baby, they'd both be in the morgue if you hadn't been there," Abbott tells him. "That's us, that's you and me, that's what we're here for." Now, MAGA has somehow been able to put their collective brain cell together and make the connection to that this episode was about them. And they are pissed, which is hilarious because SNL literally called this exact thing like a month ago.
"I'm a certified energy healer. My Instagram account, The Wellness Cheek, has over 3,000 followers, so don't you dare try to tell."
It didn't take long for MAGA to flood social media to whine about the episode. Max Bills here says, "The Pitt is woke and cringe," says its fans, responding to a review from Los Angeles that says, "The literalism of the Pitt may be its superpower. In the face of mass institutional acquiescence to fascism, there's a lot to be said for loudly asserting the value of radical empathy and social justice." These people are so divorced from reality that they think a show exploring the real world is somehow propaganda. And it's happening for every show now, too. Even a slight mention of right-wing politics in media is some sort of attack on them. Tanya Array says, "I watched an episode of Our Friends and Neighbors. There's a scene where all the guys are hanging out, and Ham's character said to one of them, 'Well, your guy thinks he's making America great again,' which implies there's a conservative and a liberal on that, scene or in that cast or something. Like, clearly, both are being represented." Hockey Mama here says, "I saw that. Why do they have to ruin everything with woke/politics? Same with The Pitt and the ice scene." These people almost make me want climate change to happen faster so that all the snowflakes would melt. And it's not even just the American maggots now, too. Right-wing politics are an international virus. So now we have Spanish Trumpers tooting their horns. The Pitt is a fucking woke shit. This is why this R-worded femi-Marxist likes it, talking about this politician who likes the Pitt. And the craziest part of all of this to me is that last night's episode isn't even the woke version of this story. Woke means to see the world for what it actually is, right? And despite the finale turning into a bloody nightmare, if the writers of The Pitt were being woke, then they would have had Judith and the baby die in the end, because that is exactly what's happening in real life. This excellent article from The Guardian by Ciaran Cale and Lucy Osborne gives an eye-opening account into what's actually happening inside the Free Birth Society. Here's the headline: Influencers made millions pushing wild births. Now the Free Birth Society is linked to baby deaths around the world. The movement seems to be centered around two women. FBS, the Free Birth Society, was founded by ex-doula Emily Saldaya, and most women find it through her podcast, which has been downloaded 5 million times, its Instagram account, which has 132,000 followers, and its YouTube, with nearly 25 million views, or its best-selling The Complete Guide to Free Birth, a video course co-created by Saldaya and fellow ex-doula Yolandi Norris Clark. Now, this Norris Clark lady seems to be the one who is the ideological creator of free birth as a concept. And so, in my opinion, she is the leader of this little cult, and it's clear from how she behaved. After Norris Clark decided she did not believe in gravity, Saldaya announced she was no longer round earth committed. When Norris Clark said she no longer believed in germ theory, Saldaya told friends she did not wash her hands. When Norris Clark said she no longer identified as a feminist and wished to submit to her husband, Saldaya quietly stopped marketing the podcast as Radical Feminist. After Norris Clark tacked rightwards politically, Saldaya followed. She began to promote wild pregnancy, a term Norris Clark invented, meaning pregnancy without any prenatal care, and German New Medicine, which Norris Clark has championed, which claims that disease is not caused by pathogens, but by unresolved emotional conflicts. Holy fucking shit. This is classic right-wing anti-science quackery. It's a wellness cult that almost always swings right because there's a tendency for control with conservatism. The horrifying part of this, though, is that the women that are being controlled by Norris Clark aren't just putting their own lives at risk, they're also putting the lives of their children at risk. If a baby died in a free birth, Saldaya also taught her students not to knee-jerk call 911. Dead is dead, she said. If grieving families chose to illegally bury their children on their land, Saldaya passed on advice once given to her by an underground midwife. Dig a little deeper. Holy crap, that is terrifying. After working closely with Saldaya for 2 years, in 2023, Day left what she calls a death cult. FBS is not, by any conventional definition, a cult, but former FBS members often use the language of high control groups to describe the hold they say they felt the organization had over them, leading them to behave in ways they now find hard to understand. It is hard to quantify exactly how many babies have died in FBS circles, because many loss moms, as they're known, disappear in the wake of their tragedies. Most do not respond to journalistic inquiries. Now, I don't really give a shit what the conventional definitions are. This sounds like a cult to me, a child death cult by the looks of it. A system is what it does, right? And this system kills babies. But luckily, light is the best disinfectant, and the Pitt season finale, along with this article, put light on this issue, and they help to boost the doctors and medical professionals who are raising the same alarm.
When the system fails you, rejecting all medical help feels like you're taking back control. This is exactly how the Free Birth Society became so popular, and I'm so glad The Guardian did this expose to reveal that a lot of mothers and babies have died as a result. And here's the false choice they're selling. Either accept disrespectful, sometimes not evidence-based care, or birth completely alone. But this is all or nothing thinking, and it's a trap, and it exploits real pain. I'm Dr. Sarah Orrick. I'm a reproductive psychiatrist, the co-founder and CEO of Mavita Health, and a mother to 3. I heard about this about a year ago, and my antenna went up because of its name, because if they were calling this free, then what was assisted birth? What was birth through C-section? What was a birth with complications? Why did this become so popular? Because medical gaslighting is very real. Coercive medical practices are real. The dismissal of women's pain is incredibly real. But the answer to a broken system isn't abandoning safety altogether. The most uncomplicated pregnancy can turn on a dime. And this is not to scare you. Home birth can absolutely be safe and a wonderful option if you have a trained midwife, a backup plan, and emergency access. The answer to a broken healthcare system isn't abandoning all medical knowledge and going and doing things by yourself.
We can only hope that this free birth crap doesn't get folded into the pro-life and MAHA philosophies, because if it does, we might literally be about to bomb ourselves back into the Stone Age. We'll keep you updated here at Really American, so hit subscribe if you haven't already. I'm Tony Hinderman, and I'll catch you next time.